Hey guys, this is a market update. I want to talk about KPMG, one of the biggest tax and audit firms in the world, putting Bitcoin and Ethereum on its balance sheet. This is absolutely massive. It's obviously just the start of every single large firm having to put both of these assets on their balance sheets to stay relevant in this new world. I want to talk about that and also look at the price of a bunch of cryptos right now. We're obviously doing very well. Most cryptocurrencies are up. Obviously, Bitcoin being up 15% in the last 7 days drags everything else with it. But there are lots of specific bits of news for each different blockchain that is also really positive. Now, this is because essentially all of the money that was going into the blockchain world is not stopping. So yeah, we have the economy on one side, but also all of the multi-millions and billions of dollars pouring into these blockchains, which is obviously very good news for each of these chains in particular. So let's look at the price of Bitcoin and how this is changing. Obviously, we've had this huge dump in prices since the high, but at last we've actually broken through this resistance. So this resistance line, obviously we're looking at horizontal lines really are the lines that we want to look for. But the price was very accurately meeting resistance at this downward trend. If we get rid of this now, what you can see, I've drawn 4 lines on here. These 2 red lines, which we consolidated around this bottom kind of support level. And now we've broken through this resistance. And now we're at this second resistance right here. And actually you can see the candle. Basically, we broke through this quite heavily, but we've sold off around this resistance as well. I think this is quite healthy. I think this has been quite a big move. So I would, potentially look to see some sort of consolidation around this level. I think that would be very, very healthy before possibly moving on to this next level. I've drawn this green line here. You can see that this is actually pretty much the big resistance that we would look to break through if we were to continue higher. Just happens to be 50,000, which is obviously a very big level psychologically, but also it's around that $1 trillion market cap as well, which is obviously very big. So that is really the next level. Depends what we do from here. We may get rejected and then come down to this 40,000 level again. But it looks like we have seen a local bottom for the time being, and then we'll obviously look for different levels. But these are the levels I'm looking at for sure short term. This level right here that we're actually trading around now, around 44,000, up at 50,000 is kind of a very high resistance for the next level. Possibly if we get rejected a lot, we'll move kind of maybe down to kind of 41,000. So that's short term. Obviously, I don't really trade short term too much, but they're the short term levels. I want to look at Ethereum as well, because Ethereum got sold off a lot more than Bitcoin. And what's happened is we've seen this recover much more drastically as well. So what we can see is a huge sell off, and it actually went way below this support line right here, which was around 2,700, broke way below that. So this was a really big, deep sell-off that came with the massive sell-off in the NASDAQ. But what you can see is just a real V-shaped recovery, to be honest, just back through all of these levels. We have a support resistance line around 3,000, obviously another psychological level. Looks like we've broken through that. And we're up at this moving average, which is the 50-period moving average, just meeting resistance here. I think this is quite healthy price movement, to be honest. In Ethereum, just meeting some resistance at a technical level, same as Bitcoin. If you want to go ahead and trade on Bybit, which you saw me using right here, you can follow the link in the description. You can get a $4,000 deposit bonus. They'll give you $4,000 in your futures trading account with a deposit onto the platform. So check that out if you want to get up to $4,000 as a deposit bonus on Bybit. Also, if you want to check out my crypto investor course, the price is going up this week because of all the new content that we've added. There's 150 videos now on trading and investing. I'll leave that link in the description if you want it. But I just want to go over to a couple of more data points which have been really interesting. This is from Will Clemente on Twitter, so go and follow him. He puts really good data on his Twitter. So this is whale balances, and this has basically been showing us how whales have been accumulating right here. So what you can see is that during the peaks, right, so when Bitcoin is really peaking at all-time highs, you see whales kind of coming off a little bit. Essentially they're selling into that massive strength. But what you can see here during obviously the highs, whales kind of coming down a bit. But then when you saw this real big dip, whales have just come in and absolutely eaten up that whole dip. There's obviously something we can read into that, because not only KPMG, other firms will be buying Bitcoin and Ethereum to compete in this new arena of smart contracts. You need to be competing, you need to be at the forefront of this, and so this is what they're doing. This is Bitcoin itself. We know KPMG added Bitcoin. I'm sure other firms are doing it now, and huge investors as well and investment funds. Coming over to the Bitcoin price versus the Nasdaq's price. Again, this is Will just saying this. You can see that the correlation is basically going down. We had record high correlation for a record amount of time, basically just a sell-off. That was when everything was being dumped. That move has finished, and now the market is saying, what are the good assets that are going to rise out of the ashes? And it looks like Bitcoin cryptocurrency is one of those. And obviously the correlation is falling again. This is pretty good. If we think that the Nasdaq is not going to have a great year of it, the stock market is probably not going to have a great year. Obviously, we would want Bitcoin and Ethereum to go well, so we would need that correlation to come down. Also, just another data point that I saw on Twitter as well. This just shows you how early we are, right? So this is crypto adoption. You can see internet users, which is obviously the solid line, and then crypto users. So we're basically in the year 2000, right? So, we're just saying we're so early is like a cliche, right? And it's a meme, but we really are. So this is why I have a long-term view and a long-term outlook in terms of the assets that I want to go into. I don't really get distracted by new shiny things that often, or I try not to, because there's so many new projects that you can say, well, maybe I'll add that to the portfolio. Maybe I'll add that one. This one seems like a good project. That one seems pretty cool. What do you think of this? Whereas what I really want to do is just really make big bets on the most solid infrastructure plays. For me, Bitcoin and Ethereum have to be in that mix in a long-term portfolio, because if they're going to be the basis of many other networks, obviously building off of them in layer 2 situations, then obviously taking less risk over the long term. Look, we've got another 10, 20 years before we're even, or I would say 10 years before we're anywhere near kind of internet and adoption. And it's very clear at this point that crypto is being adopted in that regard. Whether it's crypto assets, cryptocurrencies, whatever they are, social networks, it's all coming, and it's obviously going to follow the adoption curve of the internet. So, it's not the time to be selling out for me. It's the time to be investing, making sure that I pick those projects that are going to be lasting out until, the kind of next 10, 15 years. I also want to highlight what KPMG said when they added Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's quite interesting to read into this a little bit more, because they use a term that I think is going to be very important going forward, which is the term crypto asset and not cryptocurrency. So what you can see from their tweet, we've just completed an allocation of crypto assets to our corporate treasury. So we can come and see the press release right here. And again, they're very careful to use the term crypto assets and not cryptocurrency. This allocation includes Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as carbon offsets to maintain net zero carbon transactions. Obviously, they got to do that to appease everyone. Crypto assets are a maturing asset class. So again, crypto assets, not cryptocurrencies. Investors such as hedge funds and family offices to large insurers and pension funds are increasingly gaining exposure to crypto assets, and traditional financial services such as banks, financial advisors, and brokerages are exploring offering products and services involving crypto assets. KPMG would not go into some random technology that probably might fail. They're only going to do this when they are probably 99 to 100% certain that this area of the market is solid enough to invest a lot of money in. This is huge. Obviously, when you think KPMG, what they are is an audit firm. So this is absolutely tailor-made for a blockchain experience. Absolutely everything can be audited on the blockchain. It's all out in the open. And of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum are just part of this. Their clients are going to want to make smart contracts and deploy them on these blockchains. And of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum really are the two major public players in this space. Another huge bit of news I really want to touch on as well is how much money Polygon just made. Polygon are really aiming to be a layer 2 scaling solutions provider for Ethereum. So Ethereum by itself is really an infrastructure, the base layer infrastructure. On top of that, you're going to get a lot of applications and businesses actually providing services. Polygon actually say they want to be kind of the Amazon Web Services of the blockchain world, with Ethereum being the kind of internet itself, if you can think of it like that. So why this is important is because Polygon really do have the the best scaling solutions out there. They have ZK rollup technologies, they have data availability layers, they're working on many different things. And so this is obviously a huge shot in the arm for Polygon to raise almost $500 million. It's a huge raise for them, and it's obviously going to be big for them, but also Ethereum as well. So I just want to look at this chart. This is the adoption chart. So what's funny is that we see the price moving around all the time, going up to all-time highs, coming down 50%, but the user adoption chart just carries on. This is the Ethereum addresses chart, and it just carries on in this upward fashion. But you can see it's only 180, 190 million addresses. Again, this is going to go into the multiple billions. So this could easily 10, 15x in terms of unique addresses on here or more. So in terms of growth, you say, well, you know, how high can the price be? Is it a good price to get in? It's not really about that. It's just about seeing this opportunity for what it is and knowing that we're not even in the first quarter of this game. You know, so we're just coming onto the pitch right now. So this is the data that I look at really, and the price data for me, it's just irrelevant. You have to dollar cost average over the long term, get a good average price for your trades so that you're not like buying in at all-time highs, and then just check this data. It's only moving in one direction. I'm working on a video for tomorrow about Polygon and all the different scaling technologies that they have and why that is important for Ethereum and everything else, and the basis of Web3. Social networks coming and all of those different applications are going to happen on this upper second layer where you have cheap transactions. If you want to watch that video, subscribe, come tomorrow, that will be on the channel. Also, if you want to get $4,000 as a deposit bonus on Bybit, check that link in the description, and the crypto investor course as well, check that link down there. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.